Cycling has been jam-packed with amazing athletes that proved over the course of their career that they deserve to be chiseled into the sands of time. That's why in today's video, we're going to be counting down the greatest cyclists to ever compete. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. First up, number 10, Marco Pantani. Marco Pantani has most definitely earned his place among the ranks of great cyclists. However, his career will forever be tainted with a myriad of police investigations, drug abuse issues, and alcohol abuse issues. However, his troubles aside, he was one of the craziest cyclists to ever mount a bike. Pantani always used his aggressive mindset to win him some races, and with a nickname like the Pirate, how can you call him anything other than aggressive, right? Pantani was notorious for putting it all on the line and taking some extreme risks that usually worked out for him during clutch moments in big races. He may have had some big problems off the track, but his style and achievements, for that matter, will most likely never be repeated. And his racing style left the sport when he did and will most likely never be seen again. His natural charisma and charm will always be remembered by fans of the sport, and if it weren't for his substance abuse issues, he may have had a longer and more revered run in the sport. Number 9, Chris Hoy. Chris Hoy cracks this list despite him not being a road cyclist. However, we never specified which discipline of this sport we were counting down, and to be fair to Hoy, he was one of the best sprinters in the sport, so it is impossible to keep him off this list. Hoy was the first and so far only British athlete to win 3 Olympic gold medals in the same year, which helped rack his gold medal count to 6 by 2012. Hoy was one of the best to ever race, and while he still keeps up with the sport appearing on TV whenever he can, and by working as an ambassador for his bike brand, he retired from the sport back in 2013. Hoy is one of the biggest names in cycling and will most likely continue to be so for quite some time. Number 8, Mathieu van der Poel. Van der Poel is one of the best Dutch cyclists of all time, and his competition all happened to be related to him. His father is renowned cyclist Audrey van der Poel, and his grandfather was beloved French cyclist Raymond Poulidor. So you can say that cycling is in his blood, and he honestly had no choice but to become a world-famous cyclist. But he did have a choice on his aggressive style, which made him so amazing, and what a style it was. While he may not be the most aggressive cyclist that has ever competed, he was much more aggressive than the average biker. Van der Poel likely picked up this style from his experience in cyclocross, in which he was and is considered one of the best to ever compete in the sport. But his talent certainly did translate to the road, as he became a menace in one-day classic races and became a winner in multiple grand scale competitions such as Strade Bianche, Amstel Gold, and Tour of Flanders. Not only that, but he did wear the leader's jersey in the Tour de France, and I guess you could say that's not bad, right? Number 7, Chris Froome. What makes Chris Froome such a shoo-in for this list is the fact that he found a way to make lanky people competitive in the sport for maybe the first time ever. The developer of the Super Tuck simply couldn't be snubbed from this list, but he also had some pretty big accomplishments and some amazing athleticism that helped him garner a spot this high on the list. Froome is one of the best climbers in the sport, and his ability to gain speed and quite frankly win races with his ability to climb hills with finesse and grace. Froome is also a master of time trials, knowing exactly when to expel high amounts of energy and when to conserve and gather strength for a final burst of speed. Froome's talents are certainly a unique set, but I guess a unique set of skills suits a man with a frame like his. Number 6, Tadej Pogačar. Pogačar is one of the few on this list that is not only still active, but is still considered an up-and-coming superstar in the sport. At only 23 years old, the potential for greatness is unmatched in the sport. Pogačar has a good chance of taking the number 1 spot in coming years if he can continue this insane run of accomplishments. At only 23, he has already become a folk hero in his home country of Slovenia, thanks mostly to the fact that he has won the Tour de France not once, but twice. Not only that, but he found a way to claim the mountain and young rider classifications, becoming the first rider to claim both awards. He also has won the Tirreno Adriatico Adriatico twice, and the Liège-Bastogne-Liège, and the Giro di Lombardia. It seems like his potential is limitless at this point. If you aren't already, keep your eyes on this kid. He is going to do great things. Number 5, Lance Armstrong. I mean, we knew he was going to be on this list, and if it weren't for the doping scandal that completely tarnished his reputation and tainted his image for the rest of his life, he likely would have been number 1 on this list. However, despite the issues, Armstrong was clearly one of the best cyclists to ever race and had to make this list, but we could not, in good conscience, put him any higher on this list. Although his list of accomplishments is pretty hefty, he did win 7 consecutive Tour de France titles. However, as we all know, they were stripped from him following his outing as a cheater. But before that all came to light, he inspired the entire planet, getting back on his bike after a cancer diagnosis and continuing to be one of the best cyclists on the planet, shot the sport's popularity into the stratosphere. Love him or hate him, he did inspire an entire generation of cyclists to do what they love, and for that, he has to get some respect. Number 4, Beryl Burton. Beryl Burton not only gets respect for being the first woman on this list, but she also gets respect for making this list without being a pro rider. She turned down pro riding and instead chose to race as an amateur in favor of working on a rhubarb farm. Despite not being a pro, she still found a way to win 90 domestic championships and held multiple world records. Some of that still haven't been broken or took more than 50 years to break, like her 12-hour time trial time, which actually was the best in the world between men and women for 2 full years. What is craziest about this is she accomplished all of this while still having a full-time job, a family to take care of, and no coach to help her train. Imagine what she would have done if she had turned pro and had a coach guiding her. She likely could have gone down as the best cyclist of all time. Number 3, Marianne Vos. Marianne Vos is the second woman to make this list, but she is the first pro cyclist, and she comes in at the top 3. Vos also is still riding as of this recording and is an absolute force to be reckoned with. At the time of this recording, she has an astonishing 32 stage wins at the Women's Giro and has 2 Olympic gold medals to her name. She also has etched her name into the history books for being such an advocate for women's sport. She is adamant on raising wages, increasing involvement and participation, bettering the resources available to athletes, and educating more people on the women's side of the sport. Vos is a true pro and an incredible athlete that has earned her spot at number 3. Number 2, Mark Cavendish. Cavendish has one of the best comeback stories of all time. While still being one of the best athletes of his time in his prime, unfortunately Cavendish's prime was cut short thanks to a battle with Epstein-Barr virus that kept him from competing all through 2017. When he finally came back, he was plagued with poor performances. However, he had a miracle comeback that rivals Seabiscuit in the 2021 Tour de France. Not only that, but he had some insane sprint times that made him look like he was 21 with a Deceuninck Quick-Step team, which saw him raise his total of stage wins to 4, which ties the man who held the record and who holds the number 1 spot on our list today. Finally at number 1, Eddy Merckx. I mean, come on. The man's nickname is the Cannibal because he ate up the competition. He has an unmatched 11 Grand Tour wins, and I'm certain that that number will never be touched again. He also gathered 3 world championships along with his accomplishments of earning all 5 monuments. He was described as being silent and deadly on the track, with opponents and even teammates stating that they feared the fact that they could never hear him coming, and would only know he was around after he silently but swiftly flew by him. He was elite at all facets of the sport and will forever be recognized as the best to ever do it. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.